So today I am going to explore Amazon Bedrock Agentcore Harness, which is now generally available. Harness, I have written a lot on Harness, and you can see my Substack articles on Harness. But Harness is everything that we scaffold above the model or over the model, right? Now, Agentcore Harness has made it easier by providing it as a service. And the documentation says, this is the documentation of Agentcore Harness. And I followed this documentation. So every agent has an orchestration layer, a loop that calls the model, picks tool, passes results back, manages the context, and handles failures, right? This is the harness plus the loop engineering concept, right? And I have actually written many advanced things on this as well. I spoke about durable harnesses as well, but yeah. But running it in production takes real infrastructure underneath, right? Any new innovations come in, right? First few days, few months, or few years, as developers, we do a lot of the infrastructure work also, a lot of the infrastructure concerns. But gradually, the product companies, the cloud providers, abstract away that concern and puts it into their infrastructure layer, and that's what is happening with Agentcore Harness, right? So most of the infrastructure concerns now will be part of the service, and as developer, I'm only responsible to bring in the domain related logic into the harness, right? Through very specific skills, memory, and tools, right? And that's what is happening here, right? So as I say, running it in production takes real infrastructure underneath: compute, a sandbox, secure tool connection, file system, memory, identity, and observability. Together they form the agent harness, and that's what agent harness provides me as a service, right? I don't have to now bring up a memory on my own, right? As part of the agent harness deployment, I'll have a memory service, I'll have a file system service, right? I'll have a runtime service, right? Yeah. And this is different services, like as part of the Agentcore harnesses, that gets instantiated, right, when you deploy the harness. Okay. Let's now do some real hands-on to see how to create the harness and use it. I have created a tutorial for this. So what we'll build today as part of this recording is a research assistant harness, right? And then in subsequent recordings, we'll see how we can configure the harness with our own memory, our own skills, tools, and all, right? There are three ways to drive the harness: Agentcore CLI, AWS CLI, Boto 3 will use Agentcore CLI, right? And one thing to remember is, if you are running this lab, it uses, there'll be billable resources, so you'll be charged for those billable resources, right? Now the harness is generally available in Agentcore regions. Our lab will create the harness in USOS 2, right? So we'll start with the tool chain, setting up the tool chain, the execution role, harness execution role, and the model access, right? So let me configure some of the variables. So the region will use USOS 2. Then let me export the ID, account ID. The role will use Agentcore Harness Lab role. You can name it anything. All right, this is the role name that I have picked up. This is the role ARN. Now let's see if everything looks fine. Right, so I have the account ID. USOS 2 is the region that we have chosen. Let's see if the role ARN looks good. ARN AWS IAM. Yeah, so this is what we'll create, right? Install. I already installed Agentcore, but let me show you how to run it. npm install, then Agentcore, it will get installed. Then we can see what the version is. The version, I think 24.2, right? That is what yeah, that is the one we have. Now we need to create some trust policy that the agent core service principal can assume, right? This is the trust policy that we'll create first. Let me create this. If I do ls, yes, the trust policy is created, and the services that I want it to assume is the Bedrock Agent Core service. Right now I need to create the role with that role name that I showed earlier, and then attach this trust policy to this role, right? So that it can assume this role policy and use the Bedrock Agent Core services, right? So let me run this. The role is now created. Excellent. And okay, now we need some execution policies also, right? So that it can access a model, right? It can, so when I do the agent harness deploy, right, it needs to the harness image needs to push it to ECR, and from there needs to deploy. So it requires ECR access as well, right? So all those accesses, I put it in the harness policy.json. Let me create that policy. The policy should be there now. Yes, harness policy is there. Yeah, this is the harness policy. So it got created. Now I need to attach this policy to the role. Let me attach the policy to the role that we created, right? Okay, it got created now, right? The next thing I need to do is, so the traces do not appear in the Agent Core observability dashboard until CloudWatch transaction search is enabled. So I'll have to enable it. Maybe it is already enabled. Let's see. Okay, so it is enabled now. And then I will update the indexing role. Okay. So the X-ray is also enabled now. Okay. So by default, Agent Core Harness uses Sonnet 4.6, and in my Agent Core I have not created the agreement to use it. So next few commands we will request for Sonnet access, right? So this is my model ID. Let me clear so that we can start from the top. Let's see the model availability. So it is so status not available. So I have not requested for it. So I now request for it. Available. So yeah, it is not available. So I need to create the agreement, right? So this is my offer token, right? I will agreement offer. Okay, so token is there. Let me request for the model. It will take some time. Okay, so let's see, it usually takes some time. The status no motion not. Okay, let's see. Let me check. Yeah, it is now available. Good. It is now available, but I'll still test it out. Let's see if I am able to converse. If I'm able to converse with this model. This is just a test to see if the model is available. Yes, so the model has been provisioned. Now we'll create and invoke our first harness, right? So this is how we create the harness. Agentcore create, name of our harness, model provider Bedrock, and the default model, as I mentioned, is the Sonnet 4.6. Right? It will create a research agent folder here, right? And if I go into Agentcore, the harness.json, where is the harness.json? Harness.json, you'll see that the Sonnet 4.6 is the default model. And the beautiful thing is, if I go to not this one, yeah, the Agentcore JSON, right? So there are ways I can configure the runtime, memory, knowledge base, right? A lot of configurations I can do, right? But in this recording, we'll just go with the default configuration, right? So we have done the Agentcore creation, research agent creation. It created the CDK. So this is what it will use to deploy it in the runtime, this, right? I will now need to go to the research agent, right, and do the deploy, Agentcore deploy. This is what is deploying the Agentcore harness now, right? If I go to my agent console, right, where is the console? Yeah, this is my console. I should be able to see it here, but I think now it is asking for my confirmation. Okay, I confirm. So it has started bootstrapping the AWS environment. Now it will take some time for the creation of the harness, but the harness will appear here, right? I'm in US West. Very good. So once the harness gets created, it will come here. So it is bootstrapping. It takes some time. Okay. It's still deploying. I think after this we should be able to see the harness coming here. In the meantime, let's look at few more things. Some of the things to notice, some default tools are provided, like there is so what it says, the tools are declarative. You list what the agent can call. Agentcore handles invocation, credentials, and results. The harness supports 5 tool types plus the built-in file system and shell tools. So MCP servers, we can connect to any remote model context protocol. Agentcore gateway, governed connectivity to APIs and MCP servers. Agentcore browser, managed web browsing and automation. Agentcore code interpreter, sandboxed Python code execution for data analysis and computation. Inline functions, tool schemas that execute on the client side, right? Not on the harness VM though, right? This is important. Where the client is running, there also I can put my client specific tools. Default tool shell and file operations are available in every session unless you restrict them with allowed tools, right? And for the allowed tools, these are the supported patterns, right? And it shows how I can see. It makes so easy to configure tool. Agentcore add tool. I can add tool to my harness, right? Let's see if the deployment. Yeah, the deployment is done now. Right, it deployed the harness. So if I go to my console, I should be able to see the harness, right? This is my harness, right? I can test it from here, but we'll not do the test from here. I'll show another interesting way to test it, right? So, okay. So let's go to the next steps. So we deployed it. Let's see the status of the harness. Excellent. It is deployed. Now we will create a session ID. So run Agentcore create with no flags. Okay, so a harness invocation needs a runtime session ID, right? Reuse it and the conversation continues in the same microwave. So session ID is required for your multi-turn, right? So that it can know what was the previous context and all. A session ID must be at least 33 characters. In this recording, we'll use UID, which is 36 words. So let me create that session ID. And if I echo the session ID, I should be able to see the session ID. Now I will invoke the harness. This is how I'm invoking Agentcore invoke. This is the harness I created. This is the session ID, and this is my prompt that goes into the harness. Let's see what it does. So it's research 3, excellent, right? So the harness has started working, right? And I said research 3 tropical vacations, options under under 3000K within 5 hours of NIC, right? So this is what the harness gave me. Now to show that it maintains the context using the same session, I'll ask which of this has the shortest flight. See, I'm putting the session ID also here, right? So it should start. Wow. So it actually is remembering the session, right? Now if I put verbose along with that, so if I say verbose, I can see if there are any tool calls, other content blocks also, I should be able to see. See, the content blocks are all shown to me, right? So the stop reason is end turn, right? This is good. This is streaming already, right? So the stop reason can be because of end turn, tool use, max tokens. These are some of the guardrail intervened. These are some of the stop reasons, right? Now the interesting thing to how do I test it, right? And this is similar to ADK Web in the GCP world, right? So if I want to test this harness before I deploy it, I can say Agentcore dev. It opens this UI for me. Now I can start testing here. I'll say research some good travel or good points of interest near Yosemite. Let's see, Yosemite, right? So it has started. It did a tool call. It is doing a search. Nominatim.openstreetmap.org, right? This is a tool. It is so this tool it comes along with the harness. The shell tool API.tip interpreter. So these are some of the tools it is running. These tools are already part of the harness. I have not configured them, right? So if I see what was the input, yeah, it is. This is a call command, right? Oh, and it got the result, right? This is again overpass API. Okay, so it is doing some search, right? It is doing a Wikipedia search as well. Right. So this is there is a cons to this as well, and this is what was I talking about in my previous LinkedIn post, right? How do I control this autonomy, right? It is putting its own autonomy and going to multiple searches, right? From at an application level, I can still do some things to control the autonomic, to say how many searches it should do, right? That is definitely required. But let's say if some developers do not know how to put those constraints and all, right, there should be a way to constrain that autonomy as well, right? See, it is still running, right? And I can see the this shows the harness configuration. I can see the traces here. The traces will come here, right? So already 272 spans it has ran, right? Here 21 spans, 19 spans, right? So it tells me what it executed. It execute tool shell, right? Shell only it is doing, right? So this is a way. I think it will go on for some times, but this is one of the way I can test it out before I deploy it in production, right? So I think finally it will give me some answer, but it is still doing some. So now it is doing the POI, right? The point of interest in Yosemite. Let's see what the result it gave. Okay, now I think it is ready to give me the results. Yeah, it gave the results. So good, excellent. So this is what I wanted to show as part of this recording. In the next recording, we'll see how we can further configure some of these inputs to this harness. Thank you.